Hi, I'm Ed Helbling from Forward Office Technologies, and today we're going to talk a little bit about managed services and what that looks like from a security perspective. I'm going to do some deep dive on a couple of different topics. The very first one I'm going to start with is, I was asked a question the other day about what's the best antivirus I could have. The answer is none. And I don't mean by not having an antivirus, I mean antivirus is extremely outdated. Think about it like this for a moment. An antivirus can only have a cure for a virus when it actually knows about the virus. So what a lot of manufacturers have done is graduated to something called endpoint detection and response, which actually looks at patterns on the machine or patterns of life on the machine, and it kind of predetermines or predicts that a virus is about to happen. And it actually looks for things that an antivirus could never look for, no matter how well it was built. The other day I was prompted because I was trying at a library to get into my checking account and it did not recognize the device I was on, so it prompted me to do a two-factor authentication. That is something that I've learned to accept. It's normal. I want my bank account protected, and I think we've all realized that that's a really good thing, that no one can easily hack our bank account. But I wonder how many of us are taking advantage of that in all the other areas where we have data. Think about your computer where you store credit cards. Think about your iPhone where you store credit cards. Think about any device where you store private information. How many places do you turn two-factor authentication on? I would say turn them on everywhere, because the more that you can rely on it needing a second way to prove it's you, the more you can feel comfortable knowing that you've been protected from a cybersecurity event. I would tell you with all confidence that you should turn on two-factor everywhere that you can. Use your iPhone, your iPad, your Android, whatever it is that you need to turn that two-factor on. It could even be your Apple Watch. I have some of my devices ping my Apple Watch. Even when my Amazon account wants me to buy a movie, it pings my iPhone. As a matter of fact, that happened the other day. Looked out at my phone and it said, please approve this movie, and I realized that my son was starting to watch movies on my Amazon account and I had to approve those. I kind of like that as a dad, but when it gets back to security, I like that even more to protect my family, my privacy, and all of my assets. Backup, disaster, and recovery. I don't actually like that phrase because it's got the word disaster in it, so that kind of scares me a little bit. That means that life is about ready to take a bad turn. So let's just think of it as recovering from a life event, hopefully non-catastrophic. It's something that most companies overlook. They think that they're probably fine. They think that they probably can lose a file, lose an Excel file, lose a Word doc, or that maybe their computer is going to not crash on them. But I took a client through an exercise the other day, and I said it would take about 3 hours to back up your data to the cloud, because we make a backup change every night, and everything that is different we back up that day. But if they were to have a full disaster on their hands and we had to restore their entire environment, it would take 3 full days to bring their data back. So backup, disaster, and recovery is actually a science that you really need to spend some time on to understand both how long does it take to back up my data, but also how long does it take to restore my data and put me back to a working environment. It is now a full living, breathing service that's managed by highly trained professionals to make sure that your environment can be brought back to life quickly so that you can get back to doing business. Proactive maintenance and remote monitoring. I had to practice that. Maybe you want to try it? Say it 5 times fast. I'll go ahead and wait. I had a client the other day call me because their computer was running slow, and they had actually not opted for proactive maintenance. They had just said, when it breaks, you guys can fix it. But what the proactive maintenance tool would have told them is that their drive was running out of disk space, and that's why it was running slow. So proactive maintenance allows us to install a device on a computer that tells us what's going on or what's about to happen just from a normal operating system standpoint. Not really security, but just from normal use of the computer all day long. I love the proactive maintenance. I have it set up on my computer. I have it set up on all my kids' computers. It's a very, very good tool to make sure that your computer stays tuned and working well. Remote monitoring and management that goes with the computer also looks at patching, which is very important. And we talked about patching before, but patching is also part of the remote monitoring. Did a patch fail? Did a patch not install right? Does my computer need rebooted? That remote monitoring tool will also look at the computer and say, it's time to reboot the computer. I'm going to go ahead and schedule that on Sunday. I know a lot of us ignored that, so I actually like it when we set the remote monitoring tool to reboot the computer whether you like it or not, because I want to make sure that computer's patched and working. I had a client call me the other day and tell me that they get a lot of spam. And that's normal. Everybody gets a lot of spam. Everybody has somebody who's trying to reach out and tell them that they just want an iPad or that they just want a $25 gift certificate from Amazon. And there's some things you can do for spam, but then there's the next level, which are very cleanly written attacks in order to get to my data. Those are things called vishing or phishing or smishing, all different types of attacks that come through email. When you open up an email and it says, please click here to download this file, first of all, that should be a warning. I would never click anything and download a file if it wasn't coming from someone that I knew and I could verify. Well, how do I know that it's actually coming from somebody? How do I know that Julie King in our marketing department is actually sending me that email? Well, one way is I could reply to that email and make sure it's her email address. But what if somebody infected her machine and is sending out an email on her behalf and it's actually legitimately coming from her machine? Is there anything I can do to protect me? That's where advanced email protection comes from. It'll actually examine that link, it'll put it in something called a sandbox, it'll play with it in the sandbox, verify it's either harmful or not harmful, and then it'll release the email to me. So when it comes to really protecting yourself, you really want to get into advanced artificial intelligence, and you really want to have something protecting you at a level that is well beyond what a human could figure out, whether there's harmful or not harmful content to that email. One of the things that we really want you to get good at is being able to detect something in an email that's a dead giveaway. Let's talk about Julie King again for a second. Let's say I get an email from Julie King that says, I need you to hurry up and let me borrow your credit card because I left mine at home. Well, it says it's from Julie King, but it says it's marketing at our company's domain. Well, I know that her email address is really J King. It's not marketing. So that should have been the first thing that kind of clued me into it. But if I'm a professional and I do that, how can the normal person, the average person, get good at that? Well, that's cybersecurity awareness training. And we do phishing tests all month long so that you can learn to get better and better at what a bad email looks like. So we may send you something that says you want an iPad, and we'll kind of give you examples of what to look for in that email, or there'll be cybersecurity training with questions at the end. It may seem like a little bit of a pain to kind of go through that, but think about the pain of losing your reputation or losing assets out of your account. So cybersecurity training is very important. It should be done monthly. There should be an onboarding for new team members, and it should be ongoing for the rest of the natural life of the business that you work for. Cybersecurity training changes every month because cyber terrorists change every month, and that's really important to stay ahead of them. So make sure that if your company has cybersecurity training, that you ask to be part of that. And if your company doesn't, ask why maybe they're not worried about it. That's really important to find out. We've talked about quite a bit of cybersecurity defense through the managed services application. But what happens when things go wrong? Remediating those security and incident events are really important. If you're a trained security expert, you know exactly where to look, exactly how to put the data back, exactly how to bring the company back to normal. It's a very complicated process. There's actually something called a red team, blue team event, where the red team tries to destroy the environment and the blue team tries to patch the environment to prevent the red team from getting into the system. All those things are highly important that whoever you use to remediate your events has gone through enough of an exercise to understand exactly how to put Humpty Dumpty back together again and get them up on the wall. Maybe your reputation is being damaged and you quickly need to get your hands around that. Maybe someone is siphoning money out of one of your accounts. Regardless of what it is, remediating is more important at times than actually preventing the problem. At some point, everybody will suffer some level of attack. Managed services will help mitigate how severe that attack is. But when it does happen, if it does happen to you, you want to make sure that you can remediate quickly and put everything back together and prevent this from happening a second time. We've talked a lot today about managed services. Maybe you're thinking of something right now that you'd love to ask a question, or maybe tomorrow something will happen on your computer and you'd love to ask a question. Well, there'll be a link provided and you can just ask me a question if you'd like. Put it in the comment box or just follow the directions at the end of this video on how to ask a question, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can and see if I can help.